face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Good evening and welcome to Pulse of Africa News, your trusted window in the continent's unfolding narrative. I am Samia Mohammed. Thank you for being with us. Let's start with African Union. The 51st Ordinary Session of the African Union Permanent Representatives Committee opened today at the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa. Held under the theme Assuring Sustainable Water Availability and Safe Sanitation, the session brings together ambassadors accredited to the African Union, senior officials of the African Union Commission and the representatives of various AU organs to review pressing continental issues ahead of the next AU summit. Addressing the opening session, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mohamed Ali Yusuf, said the upcoming 39th Ordinary Summit of the African Union is scheduled to take place from February 14 to 16, 2025. He noted that the summit will focus heavily on peace and security challenges, particularly the situations in Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, Sudan, and Libya. The Commission will endeavor to use all available means to find solutions, Yusuf said. He added the Peace and Security Council will act promptly and dynamically to address the various crises facing our nation.
The 39th Summit of the African Union will be held from 14 to 16 February in a very difficult context. We have a lot to do, particularly in the area of peace and security. In the east of the DRC, the Sudan, Libya, and Sahel, and other challenges, and a new change, unconstitutional change of government took place in Madagascar. Benin escaped it by very little, and the Commission will endeavor to act with all the available means to bring solutions. The Peace and Security Council will act quickly and with dynamism in order to pronounce itself on the different crises.
The chairperson further stressed that the current international environment has become increasingly complex, making solidarity among African countries more critical than ever. He urged member states to adjust to present realities and strengthen reliance on domestic resources while safeguarding collective interest.
Increased cohesion will enable us to overcome these events. We have to adapt ourselves to the present circumstances, and to rely more on ourselves. Of course, you should know, and it is my personal conviction, that it will no longer meet our expectations given the international relations. That is, if you want to rely on others to help you because of the problems that multilateralism is facing.
Chairperson of the PRC to the African Union, Ambassador Professor Miguel Cesar Domingos Membe, emphasized the Commission's determination to address peace and security challenges using all available mechanisms, including the work of commissioners, special envoys, and the panel of the wise. He further highlighted ongoing institutional reforms, particularly within the peace and security architecture, aimed at strengthening stability and resilience across the continent. Referring to the broader global context, Membe said declining financial resources, rising tariff barriers, and restrictive visa regimes are increasingly affecting African countries and limiting the free movement of the people. He called on member states to remain adaptable, promote self-reliance, and sustain strategic partnership, even as global trends shift toward protectionism and militarism.
Financial and budget issues that are also crucial for us to allow our union to have the necessary means to undertake its mission with efficacy. Our heads of states and government will also be called upon to continue with our institutional reforms and with the objective of making our union more operational, more less reliant on external partners. These reforms are very important for us to face the challenges of the future.
Delegates are expected to review the agenda over the next 15 days, with the African Union Commission providing technical and administrative support throughout the process. Vote counting began across Benin on Sunday after polling stations closed in the country's combined legislative and municipal elections. Polling stations opened nationwide at around 7 a.m. local time. In line with Benin's newly enacted electoral code, voting lasted 10 hours from the opening of each polling station. In several districts of Cotonou, the economic capital of Benin, and other parts of the country, Xinhua observed that polling staff started counting ballots immediately after voting ended at around 5 p.m. local time before transmitting provisional results to the Independent National Electoral Commission. According to the national radio, voting proceeded peacefully throughout the day with no major incidents reported and stronger voter turnout recorded in some areas. Voters cast their ballots under the observation of delegation from the Economic Community of West African States, Benin's civil society organization, and representatives of political parties contesting the election. Nearly 7.8 million registered voters spread across more than 17,000 polling stations took part in the polls to elect 109 members of the National Assembly for the next legislature and 1,850 municipal and communal councillors.
In Ethiopia, more homes and businesses now have access to electricity. Access to power supports education, healthcare, and local businesses. Light changes lives.
Rwanda and Oman have signed for cooperation agreements and programs aimed at strengthening bilateral relations and expanding joint cooperation across key strategic sectors. The agreements cover logistics services, dry ports, supply chain, data centers, cloud computing, infrastructure, artificial intelligence, and airport management. They also include initiatives for capacity building, skills development, and the exchange of expertise between the two countries. Said bin Hamoud Al-Mawali, Minister of Transport, Communications, and IT, said the agreement with Rwanda in transport, communications, and IT aim to expand international partnerships, particularly in East Africa.
We view Rwanda as the gateway to the hinterland of Africa, and it will enable Oman to work more with the east of Africa, basically. And that's why we've signed the agreements in terms of aviation today, in terms of developing the airport logistics part in the new airport of Kigali. Also, we've signed an agreement to start flights from and to Oman, from Muscat to Kigali and vice versa. Also, we've signed agreements in terms of collaboration when it comes to the logistics of dry ports at both sides of Oman. And finally, connectivity in terms of the digital connectivity. We realized that it is very important for Oman and Rwanda, and that's why the signature today came to put a framework around the cooperation in terms of data centers, cable carrying or digital cables, subsea cables, as well as the e-government.
As a part of efforts to enhance air connectivity, Oman Air announced the launch of direct flights between Muscat and Kigali, scheduled to begin in June 2026, with 2 flights per week, subject to regulatory approvals. The move is expected to boost trade, tourism, and connectivity between Oman and the African continent. Rwanda's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Oliver Nunuhungre, said agreements would further strengthen the relations between the two countries.
Rwanda and Oman are connected even geographically, because through the East African community, we are connected to Oman through the Indian Ocean. So it's a good day, and we have committed to start implementing the MOUs that we have signed, and that will also be signing in the coming days, and that will benefit our two countries and our two peoples.
The agreement reflects the strong bilateral ties between Oman and Rwanda and their shared commitment to advancing economic and technological cooperation in support of sustainable development and regional integration. China and Lesotho have issued a joint communique pledging to elevate their strategic partnership and deepen cooperation in opposing unilateral sanctions, protectionism and economic hegemonism, while promoting a more equal multipolar world and inclusive economic globalization. Both sides praised the achievements in bilateral relations and reaffirmed the commitment to developing the China-Lesotho partnership as a model of friendly exchanges and common development. The communique reaffirmed Lesotho's adherence to the One China principle while emphasizing mutual support on core interests and major concerns. Lesotho's Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations, John Mputujona, expressed support for China's global development, security, civilization and governance initiatives.
The main reason for the visit for the minister is to strengthen the bilateral relationship between the People's Republic of China and the Kingdom of Lesotho. We are also working on improving our agricultural produce. We have received assistance for the food storage and logistics facility. We have received the agricultural machinery equipment, and we will be working on the agricultural produce market aggregation centers as a next phase for our agricultural development. We are also working on our water and energy program, because Lesotho is the water tower of the Southern African region, and we would like to use our water resources to generate more power to supply the Southern African region.
The two sides also stressed respect for sovereignty, non-interference and internal affairs and opposition to politicizing human rights issues. China and Lesotho highlighted the positive outcomes of China-Africa partnership actions in supporting Lesotho's development in areas including agriculture, energy, infrastructure, healthcare and capacity building, and called for a more just and equitable global governance system. Moving on to business news. Rwanda's fish production from aquaculture and capture fisheries rose 9% year-on-year to 52,439 tons in 2025, according to an annual report released by the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Resources. The increase extends a steady upward trend began in 2020 when output stood at 32,756 tons. Production has risen every year since, reflecting a sustained expansion of capacity. Authorities attribute the growth mainly to increased investment in aquaculture, including expanded hatchery capacity, the structuring of producers into cooperatives, and improved access to inputs. Fingerling production reached 71.6 million in 2025, up 36% from 52.8 million a year earlier. The sector's current momentum puts Rwanda on track to meet the government's targets under its fifth strategic plan for agriculture transformation, which aims to raise annual fish production to 77,700 tons by 2029. The governments of Zambia and Zimbabwe have pledged $220 million each to revive the Batoka Gorge hydroelectric project, which carries an estimated total cost of $4.2 billion. The decision was taken after a meeting of the Council of Ministers of the Zambezi River Authority in late 2025. The ZRA oversees joint hydroelectric projects between the two countries. The committed money is intended to improve the project's bankability and attract private investors. Located in Zambezi River Basin near Victoria Falls on the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, the Batoka Gorge hydroelectric plant is designed to have an installed capacity of 2,400 megawatts. Once completed, it is expected to supply 1,200 megawatts to each country, strengthening their national power grids. Construction was initially scheduled to begin in 2020 but was delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic, financing challenges, and dispute over the awarding of the original construction contract to General Electric and China's Power Construction Corp. Finally, sport news. The Algerian Football Federation has officially lodged a complaint with CAF and FIFA following the refereeing of the AFCON 2025 clash against Nigeria, local media reported. Eliminated by the Super Eagles with 2-0 defeat in the round of 16, the Fancies were cleanly outplayed, but the controversy that followed the match has largely overshadowed the sporting outcome. Despite Nigeria's dominance, Algerian outlets strongly criticized the officiating by Issa Sai. Several decisions were deemed harsh and unbalanced, leaving players, staff and supporters with a strong sense of injustice. Tension spilled over after the final whistle, with altercations on the pitch and confrontation involving referees in the tunnel. A first-half handball of Ajay in his own penalty area, which went unpunished, remains at the heart of the dispute. Beyond the decision themselves, the FAF also denounced the behavior of the referee and his team, including the refusal to shake hands with some Algerian players after the match. According to TSA Algeria, the complaint aims to highlight what Algeria considers repeated and damaging refereeing errors against the Fancies. The case is now in the hands of CAF and FIFA, and further developments are expected in the coming days. Far from Moroccan soil but deeply affected by the fate of the elephants, Nicolas Pepe was unable to hold back his emotions. After Ivory Coast's elimination against Egypt, the Ivorian winger let his sadness show, offering a poignant image of his unwavering attachment to the national team. Not selected for the Ivory Coast squad for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations, the 30-year-old remained within his club, Villarreal. Despite the distance, the former 2023 African champion closely followed his teammates' progress, hoping to see them defend their title to the end. On Saturday evening, after the final whistle sealed the Elephants' elimination, a video posted on social media showed Nicolas Pepe in tears. Filmed in private by his partner, Tienia Trump, the Ivorian international appeared deeply affected, unable to hide his disappointment at the cruel outcome of the match. African champion 2 years ago with Ivory Coast, Nicolas Pepe clearly remains attached to the Elephants' destiny, proof that the orange jersey continues to inspire unwavering passion in him. Let's take a look at the weather forecast across Africa. That's all for this hour. Before I conclude, I would like to invite you to watch our weekly program, Pulse of Africa in Depth, which is coming up next. Thank you for tuning in and goodbye.
African diplomats accredited to Ethiopia have commended the Pan-African media initiative Pulse of Africa, describing it as timely, necessary and vital for shaping Africa's own narrative. Resident ambassadors and diplomats visited the Pulse of Africa studio in Addis Ababa to demonstrate their solidarity with Pan-African media platforms that are working to strengthen continental narratives. During the visit, they expressed their appreciation to Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed for spearheading the establishment of the platform, emphasizing its importance in amplifying Africa's voice and fostering unity across the continent.
I would like also to highly express my appreciation to His Excellency Dr. Abiy Ahmed, the Prime Minister, for his initiative. And it is excellent initiative because, as we all know, that the media nowadays is very important. It can play a positive role towards the prosperity, welfare and development of the people, and at the same time it can be used as a negative tool to destroy the image of a certain community or even a certain continent. So to take this issue into account and to take an initiative to establish such institution concerning with the covering and even reflecting the true image of Africa, it is not an easy matter to be done. As we know that the image of Africa focuses on the bad image such as Africa is a continent of conflict, continent of war, continent of crisis, etc. And that is not true. So we as Africans, we must have our own narrative, and we must exert our efforts sincerely and join our hands with each other to express our real ideas and opinions and the real image of Africa. Africa is very rich. It has a lot of cultural diversity. We have a lot of natural resources. We have intellectuals. We have elites. We have great leaders. But we need to let the others know about us instead of having their own narrative.
What I've observed is that POA is actually redefining the way media is being portrayed in Africa, and definitely it's becoming the face of Africa. It's a very great initiative because when you look at Africa, most people, when they hear about Africa, they're just thinking Africa there's a lot of fighting, but POA is trying to change the narrative by giving the world the most exciting news and the most developmental news about Africa, how Africa, the developments which are going on in different countries.
The initiative put forward by the Prime Minister to have such a media house that will deliberate on the African narrative regarding events and happenings on the continent, regarding the history of a continent, the civilization of the continent, and the development trajectory of the continent, I think is an important initiative. And for a media house to be at the forefront of that, like the Pulse of Africa, I think is very important, and it's a good initiative that which Africa deserves and Africa needs at this moment, so that nobody tells us this is our story, but we take charge of telling our own story to the rest of the world. I think it's an important perspective that I gained from interacting with the Pulse of Africa today.
We are very grateful for the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for building this, for creating this initiative, because Africa need this initiative because we are facing various critical times, and it's very important that in these critical times, Africa needs to share their own views, their own experiences, since it's happening on the ground. We are the ones here. We are the ones that are supposed to share those things out there. So I'm very grateful for this initiative, and also this platform, the POA, is going to be a very great platform for to share the African values, because we have a lot of values. We have a lot of culture to share that people don't know. And this is a very great opportunity, a very great initiative, and a very great platform to share those things.
The senior diplomats participated in a special familiarization and networking event designed to strengthen collaboration between African diplomatic mission and the continent's emerging media platforms. During the program, a short presentation outlining the vision and mission of Pulse of Africa was delivered to the diplomats. Following the presentation and subsequent discussion, they emphasized that the establishment of a Pan-African media platform dedicated to African perspectives represent a crucial step forward. They noted that such an initiative provides Africans with the opportunity to deliberate and present their own narratives on events and developments across the continent. Stressing that Africa is currently facing critical times, the diplomats underscored the importance of having a space to tell its own stories from an African point of view.
In fact, when we saw the presentation express the mission of the institution of POA, we really satisfied that it is in line with the most of the African Union Commission mission, such as Africa we want, and we should support this institution, and we must urge our member states to do their best to collaborate with those who are in the place, to enable them to take the mission of Africa further, not only inside the continent but also outside of the continent. For our local communities also, we need to extend our mission to them by letting them know each other, because as I said earlier in the presentation, that we as Africans, we don't know ourselves well. So we need also to highlight the culture, the history, the social behaviors of our people, and to enable our local communities to know about themselves first, and then if we do so, we enable them, we will make them able to express the real image of Africa when they go abroad.
I can say that it's portraying the Pan-Africanism by uniting us as African countries, because in the presentation, the presenter talked about having representatives in different African countries who are going to be sharing the great news which African countries are going to portray.
The opportunities on the continent in terms of investments, I think all these stories need to be told. This is not a poor continent. The continent is very rich, and I think the whole world needs to know that. And Africa is transforming. That story of transformation needs to be told, and people need to be convinced and believe and see what is happening in Africa. The image of Africa today is also very important to be spread out, to be told and be seen by the rest of the world.
This is a platform for all Africans. So this platform is gonna contribute to every single country to have a say, because most of the times we didn't have a specific outlet to share our views, our experiences as a whole, as a unit, and this platform is going to be the one that is going to share what Africa is all about, and I'm very grateful that it happened.
They further highlighted the power of media in shaping societies, acknowledging its positive role in promoting development and prosperity. The diplomats collectively emphasized the importance of unity and collaboration, urging Africans to work together through a single platform to share their stories. They highlighted that such cooperation not only strengthens Pan-Africanism, but also upholds the continent's core ideals of unity, solidarity, and self-representation. Reaffirming their unwavering commitment to support the pulse of Africa, the diplomats called upon Africans across the continent to extend the necessary support for the growth and sustainability of the initiative, underscoring its role in amplifying Africa's voice and shaping its narratives.
First of all, there must be a tool or a platform for exchanging of experiences, to learn from each other, and also to provide the POA with the most important information about our countries. And we have, as I said, that cultural diversity. It is different from a region to another, even from a country to another. So we should urge, as diplomats, we must communicate with our capitals, and we must convey the message of POA and the importance of the message that it plays. So we can provide the initiative by documentations, by bringing them some experts, and even to suggest them to visit our capitals, to have such as some meetings with those who are taking care of the importance of expressing ourselves out of the continent. And we have a lot of activists in this field, and there are a lot of experts, even some of them who are now living abroad. They are trying by themselves without getting any instructions from anywhere. So we can approach our diasporas. As I said, that we have experts abroad, we can bring them into our continent to have something like a workshop or even a conference, to listen to them, to know how the West are looking to us as Africans, because they are living there, and they know what is good and what is worse or bad for us, and they can recorrect also the image of our continent from the way they witness in the place where they live.
African countries need to support the initiative because we need to have a platform where we're going to showcase our developmental projects.
I think we just need to collaborate more, we need to unite more, we need to speak with one voice, and I think that can be done through media, the media outreach. I think our media houses, our media personnel, our youth, all need to be part of this game of spreading the narrative of Africa, telling the story of Africa, the narrative that we have, the developments that are taking place. And I think the youth are very much connected today through new media platforms. And I think this Pulse of Africa can help in generating that atmosphere where African countries can collaborate more, tell their story together under one platform like the Pulse of Africa. And I think such a collaboration needs to go on, it needs to continue, and it needs to be strengthened for us to tell our Pan-Africanist view of the things happening on our continent.
I think this is a job for all African countries. This is it's not some specific countries that needs to share it. If the Ethiopian government give the first step of building this, now it's all about the other countries to keep upholding this idea that the Prime Minister started. So it's all about all African countries.